Been pretty busy. Clients are heading into their third quarter, looking for a little extra warm and cuddly feeling. They want a little bit more face time. So got to head into that. Then just social activity as well, right? We had one of our very dear friends got married this past weekend, so we spent some time out there. But today, here we are in Chicago again. You know what? I'm going to head back to Dearborn just for a second, and we're going to go past the farmers market on the way to the org. Thank you all for coming in. Hopefully you understand, right? I've got other things that I've got to kind of attend to, life being life and all. Got myself a little Dunkin' before we head out. How have you all been? Hopefully we're sending out all positive vibes to T, Perth, auditing Scientology in Perth. Her father has become ill and probably is near end of life, and she was called home to be with him. Hopefully she'll be able to spend some time with him. We've got Boobgate Court on Monday. I think that Nance is still looking for some funding. I will say that if that's something that you feel inclined with and you agree with what's going on, please feel free to make your way over there. What else do we have? I will not be able to be in court on Monday. I've got, again, business things that I need to take care of, and I will be out of town most of next week. So I think we're going to see today and tomorrow. Now, I do have some videos that I've been working on. By the way, editing videos, it's really a pain in the butt. You just keep on making it a little bit better and a little bit better and a little bit better, and then you forget what you were actually doing. So. It's been a while since I've been down here on Dearborn Street. The last time we were here, we had the Lit Fest and we saw the police presence. I will tell you that the FOIAs have been sent in. I've gotten my initial response from the police. They've received them. Now, they still have 10 business days from the day that I lodged those, which is what, it's at 5 days right now, being Friday, 5 or 6 days, because it was Friday, last Friday, so 7 or 8 days ago. It's a beautiful day here in Chicago today. It's guessing 75 right now. Sunny out, not a cloud in the sky, a little bit of a breeze. The last time that I was actually in front of the org, it was an interesting experience. So, and again, I keep on waffling back and forth, and I'm going to say the wrong name, but I think it's Bernice. Bernice was traveling to see her son, and she came out to the org. And while we were there, we not only had the thin black male doing body routing, but two of the more senior staff members came out, and they were trying to do body routing as well. And I'll say this, that I don't know what the purpose of that was. It was odd to me that, you know, are they trying to engage contact, right? Which hopefully you all know that, hi Fat Grammy, how you doing? If they try to engage contact, well, hopefully I'm staying far enough away and you've known that that's not something that I'm willing to do. I don't know if they're trying to drum up some other fun little short story for their next complete police complaint. I will tell you that once I get the body camera back, I most likely am going to file some false reports against the Scientologists who called the police to the organization on Saturday with a claim of assault. Right, the police said, yeah, pound sand, there's no assault here. He did try to explain to me that, hey, try to keep your distance. And it's like, well, I have been keeping my distance, so whatever. But there was no assault. There was never an assault. And the idea that you would make that accusation and file a false police claim like that is something that I want to see if they can pursue legally. Folks, I have no desire to be in court for the rest of my life, but I've just come to the realization that there are no sane minds in Scientology, and that they're going to continue to try to drum up fictitious and false complaints on us. And I'm tired of us saying, well, they just barely touched me, or they just barely lied, or they just barely did this. And we kind of say, well, okay, no big deal, we'll let it go. We just can't let it go anymore, right? I'm going to go ahead and turn the camera around. We're approaching the farmer's market. So as you can see, we're on Dearborn. Yep, folks, if you can, drop a note to T. Let her know we're thinking about her. This wasn't a trip that she knew she had to make. It sounded like it came more sudden than she expected. And I'm going to tell you that losing a parent is never a great thing, right? So, howdy, new name. As we head down here, I'm seeing this first tent, not seeing anybody in uniform, but again, what we have seen them do before is just drop the flyers off on the tables, or they might try and drop them off with some of the event goers. I'm scanning the tables real quick. Got a pet bakery here. I'm definitely not seeing. Thank you. Definitely not seeing any flyers yet, but that really doesn't mean anything. Looks pretty clean through here. Yeah, I'm not seeing any uniforms in here. I don't recognize any of the faces that we normally look at. I'm not looking at chat right now because, hey, I don't want to go bumping into folk. Howdy. Yeah, this woman, what happened, the daughter, I love the daughter. When I first found the flyers on her table, I explained to them what they were, and she goes, oh, here, you can have these. And then the daughter reached under the table and picked up 2 or 3 more. And I think those were a way to happiness. All right, let's head over to the org, pull those shades down. Since I do have coffee, I'm having a hard time scrolling back. Yeah, we are out early. It's 9:44. The org's open by now. There might be I don't think the body routers are the people that are really engaging people that are coming onto course. They just seem to be a different tier of staff. Oh, but I don't know who this is, but I'm going to say I see somebody in a white top and light blue shorts. Somebody just walked into the Dearborn Station and it looked like Olga or Ludmilla, whatever we're calling her these days. We haven't gone in here before, so, yep, it is. Just a second. I'm pretty sure it is, but I'm going to wait until she comes out. I don't want to walk past her while she's in here. Once she comes out, I'll look and see what she handed out. She does have a flyer with her. Let's go see what that flyer is. All right, so here's what we found, right? She's handing out human rights. I'm going to go grab these. Sir, just so you know, that's the Church of Scientology that's handing that out. I don't know if you want to keep that or not. Okay, yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. It's one of their front groups, so they try to make us think that they're doing something civil, but they're really just a human trafficking cult. So I will talk to the management here. Folks, so for leasing information, right, just kind of record that phone number, see if we can make a call there. Howdy.
Hey.
Howdy. Now I do see her ahead of me. She is going to the farmers market. Let me put my coffee down for a second, just a real quick scroll. Folks, thanks all for being here. So that building has a lot of things in it. There's like a yoga spot in there. There's a restaurant. You saw that on the outside it's got UPS, right? But I'm going to keep on doing this. So, okay. So attend us on the International Day of Peace. Join us from 2 to 3 for a booklet distribution on 9/21. Today. All right, folks, I can't be here. I have guests coming today. But if there's anybody in the Chicagoland area, there will be people trying to come to the org. Let me see if she's been handing it out to any of these people. Kind of just scanning the area. Yeah, I'm just looking at the tables to see if we're going to see any of the flyers out here. So I do see her, she's buying, she doesn't have her flyers, it might be in her pocket. But she's buying some fruit from one of the farmer stands. Actually, she's buying a vegetable, sorry. Don't want to start any flame wars out here. So now she has a bag as well. All right, so she was handed a bag. I can see. She's running her credit card. He's kind of giving them some information on his business card. Sorry, I'm kind of paying attention over there. I do want to see if she wants to try to hand the flyer off. If she's a customer, I don't care, right? That I have no reason to engage him. You know, hey, say you can't sell to a Scientologist. I think that's a stupid statement to make. Hey, Mom Opal, how you doing? All right, just to let everybody know where we're at right now. We came over to the farmer's market first, and I didn't see anybody, and then I was going to head over to the org. And as I was heading to the org, I saw one of the body routers handing out flyers inside of the Dearborn Station. So I decided to go in and look and see what she was doing, and she was passing out a human rights flyer. And they're having some kind of session today from 2 to 3 p.m. This is the flyer that they were handing out. So it's strange. Join us from 2 to 3, and then they'll have open house from 4 to 6. And again, when they bring in this, they're going to say they're for human rights, but the human rights group is really just anti-psychiatry, anti-psychology, and anti-psychiatric drugs. So they believe that their book is the only way that people with mental issues can solve those problems, while the medical industry has known for hundreds of years that we can balance the chemicals in the brain and help people that are suffering from these problems. She's again just making the purchase at another farmer's market. Howdy Fuzzy, howdy Bridge. Howdy Joe Buchanan, Mary James, how are you today? Fuzzy, Mama, great for seeing you. Folks, I'm gonna do another video and I'll just kind of give you the headline right now. Somebody who is one of the anti-Scientologists or likes to break bad on everybody, I don't even remember what his channel name is, but he said, hey, why do you keep on telling the police that disconnection, that Scientology is disconnection? And I'm going to say that I have never told the police that Scientology is disconnection because it isn't a crime. And that's what he said, it's not a crime. I said, but that's not the only reason why we demonstrate, right? We demonstrate for public opinion as well. And to help people who understand exactly what they're getting into when they take these flyers. So they're not getting a fair education when Scientology gives them their flyers. And it's really important to me that we help educate these people in regards to what's going on. All right, she's going to shop for a little bit more. So what I'm going to do is, you know what, I definitely want to walk pastor. I'm going to head back over to the org. Hopefully I'm going to get there before they get there. And I want to make sure that we can pull the shades. Since she has bags in both hands, she's a little bit stymied from being a body rotter right now. And again, as we've said before, when they can't do their job, I'm really not really interested in following them around town. Now, she likely will, her apartment is only a block away from here, so she likely will drop that off. And once she drops it off, she'll probably continue on with flyering the town. But let's get over there and make it challenging for Scientology over at the org. Folks, I will not be able to be here between the hours of 2 and 6 p.m. tonight, but as you saw on that flyer, they've been inviting people to come and visit them. From 2 to 3, there's some story that says they're going to be passing out booklets. And then from 4 to 6, it'll be an open house. So there will probably be some kind of discussion seminar, right? Some short story about how Scientology is the thing that helps people, and the people that have the need for a psychiatrist, a psychologist, or the drugs that help people deal with specific mental disorders. And folks, if mental disorders isn't the right way of saying it, I'm not trying to be shameful of anybody. What I'm trying to say is that there are people that struggle with mental issues, and that were it not for the chemical drugs that help them keep things in check, they would struggle through life, right? And I think it's a sin that Scientology will protest so much against psychiatry and these drugs to shame people into not seeking out professional help. So now we're over on Clark Street. We're going to head up to the org. Highly likely that they'll have the shades up, that the retail store is open right now. Their business is trying to thrive. For those of you that don't know, 2 weeks ago, I think it was 2 weeks ago, on Sunday, we saw Scientology sell 2 books the entire day while they were at the festival. They also called the police several times, tried to create false claims, tried to bring the police to bear on us leaving. The vast majority of police realized that we were demonstrating with the protection of the First Amendment and told them to go pound sand. But they did find a sympathetic officer who wanted to hear their story and gather more information. Now, those are places where you're somebody who's trying to enforce the law. And I would imagine that human trafficking and child abuse are much more important laws to be enforced. All right, so this one's going to do the door first. Hopefully you're seeing in there, but right, we're empty. Scientology is empty today. Up. Maybe he was coming over for a different reason. We're seeing that the cult of Scientology has no visitors today. Anything you'd like to share about your church? Lots of people would love to know why it's so important that we join the Church of Scientology. Nothing positive about your cult? Folks, there was a council meeting here in Chicago on Thursday. I was unable to be there, but I did reach out to the person who sent me that information and asked if I can get the schedule, because I do want to start attending those. Yeah, this guy's by no means old, right? I would guess college age, right? In regards to what's going on here. Howdy, El Sarmento. If we look over in their cafeteria, nobody in the cafeteria, right? So we see one person in Scientology today, and we saw one person body routing today. The body router was Olga. You know, again, that's not, I have no idea if that's her real name. I just don't like calling her the Eastern European blonde anymore. Yeah, I do think that this one did have, and by the way, this is a police advocacy group that we found information on. I do want to be there. Now, again, I have to be a little bit coy in that regard, because until I get the body cam footage, I really don't want to trigger any events that are going to start them hiding shit. Hey, stop saying potty mouth words. Sorry, folks. All right. I just tossed the coffee, so now we can be a little bit more mobile. Maybe I'm awake. Who can tell these days? Let's go to the back alley, see if there's anything going on back there. We're coming up on what now? It's 10 o'clock. Not seeing anybody. We didn't see any publics enter while we were down there. That person had just a local grocery bag, so no real indication that they were Scientology. If somebody can do me a favor and put a comment on the timestamp of that phone number that we saw when we were inside for the leasing agent. I do want to talk to the leasing agent of the Dearborn Station, right? So the Dearborn Station is a retail space. There's a bar in there. As I said, there's a yoga spot. There's a health center in there, an urgent care center in there. So I want to let them know that Scientology comes in and uses their space to proselytize and pass out flyers for their business. All right. Not seeing anything down here. We haven't gone past the garbage can in a while. Let's go through past the. And by the way, shout out to Fat Grammy that, you know, her and I have talked about this before. I am incredibly mobile, but I don't know how to navigate these civilian boards. I don't know how to navigate, let's say, a parent-teacher organization, how to navigate the Chicago Public School District when they're having board meetings. So I'm definitely going to try to rely on her a lot more in that regard. If you're ever looking for assets between Pup Groomer, Fat Grammy, LA Audit, those are folks that really just give you a great deal of information. Oh, and thank you so much for becoming a member, right? Just a reminder that membership doesn't get you to my OnlyFans page. It doesn't give you any secret videos. It doesn't give you any secret conversations. You get to use the emojis, and you get to show other people that you're publicly supportive of what I'm doing. And you know, again, not everybody can afford it. It's a very, you know, I think it's a minimal number. It's only $3, but it's a way that I get a lot of people who are very helpful with the Linktree spaces, and they want their donations and their support to be in private. But some people want to be able to acknowledge in public what they're doing. So I really appreciate that. All right, so we see that, right, the lock is here, but it is not locked up. Let's see if there's anything in here. Oh, and it is full. If you're looking through here, though, almost all of this is food waste. So it's like wax paper, Doritos wrappers, potato chip wrappers, those kinds of things. And as I've said a million times, my forte is not actually dumpster diving. I might come down here with a pair of sweats on someday, later in the evening, when I don't have to worry about that. Thank you, Mantaz. Audit LA. And by the way, Audit LA is an all-around demonstrator. If we think about it, she's personally affected in a way that she needs the ADA to be fought for, right? The American with Disabilities Act to be fought for. She also helps with Scientology, but it's as much to say, I want to protest the police who are overstepping their bounds and the council members who are not doing their duties in that space. So she shows up. I guess that's the biggest thing about him, right? Audit LA shows up. And that's always the best thing that you can almost ever say about anybody, right? And does that mean that I need you to show up in front of orgs, that I need you to show up at council meetings? No. But yeah, you do need to show up in these videos and chat and participate. Show the creators that you do care about what they're creating, that you do stand against what they're demonstrating against. All right, there's no activity up there. I'm gonna head back over to the farmer's market and let's see if we can re-engage with Olga. For those of you that may not recall, about a week and a half ago on a Friday, the week after the event, the LitFest event, I did go make my FOIA requests. I made 3 different FOIA requests. The Saturday request was to get Officer Gribb and Officer Maldonado, Sergeant Gribb and Officer Maldonado's body camera and statements, and I wanted to get the, I didn't ask for this originally, but I've re-asked for the audio as well, because Joe Cool reminded me that there will probably be audio traffic around that, and you want to get the audio traffic of why were those people called to the scene. We did get an incident number, and I did share the incident number on that Friday, so it was an assault. The claim was I was called out for an assault. Howdy, Karen. Good to see you in here. The sergeant on scene definitely said, yeah, no assault. Don't know what you're talking about, pound stand. I was disappointed with the first officer that showed up, because the first officer, again, she attempted to do an investigation, but I don't have to help her in her investigation. And her claim was that, well, she asked me what I was doing there. And actually at the time, somebody had just come up and asked me a question. I said, oh, I think you just saw me answering a question for somebody that just walked up to me and asked me a question. And then she said, well, they said that you've been putting your camera in everybody's face. And I'm like, well, that's nice. I haven't. It doesn't matter what they say. It's what did I do? And what did you see? And what did you prove? What evidence do you have? She wasn't really thrilled with my responses. She then started talking with the security guard and the Scientologist there. I wanted to make sure I was hearing the conversation, because I knew there would be some untruths being told there. Short stories, acceptable lies, however Scientology wants to put that. All right, we're back over to the farmer's market. I'm gonna kind of run through again and look at the desks, or the tables. And then I'll push forward a little bit more to go east. I want to talk because we got some music going on here, and we don't need the music to be getting us in trouble. I am still not seeing any flyers on any tables. I want to go past the table where the purchase was made, just to make sure that she didn't lay it down without knowledge of the clerk. But yeah, I'm not seeing anything there. So yeah, there's nothing going on there. Let's push a little bit further east. Most likely, I'm sorry, not most likely. Whenever I tell you most likely, it's the things I'm thinking, and I could be absolutely wrong. But she lives in the apartment buildings just behind me. She probably dropped her produce off. She knew that I was moving about inside the farmer's market. So she has probably moved a little bit further east. East from us is towards the lake. Things get more populated as we go towards the lake. It's a beautiful day. There'll be plenty of people out in the park. We'll see if we can find if she's passing out more information there. By the way, that is a super cool market. And I want to just stress so greatly that Lit Fest is one of my favorite things that goes on here in the city. That books are an amazing repository of knowledge, and the idea that that knowledge can pass from generation to generation in the preservation of books. Now, yes, I agree that it's much better if we're training, if we're talking, if we're communicating, but the idea that knowledge moves through books. And that's why I think it's rather important and dangerous that we allow the pamphlets, the booklets from Scientology to be let about. Because again, it's going to be out of context information that people are going to find and read, and I'm always worried that they're going to read it in a time of struggle, right? They just broke up with their mate and they're a little bit sad. So what are they going to do? Hey, you know what? This Church of Scientology sounds kind of promising. Let me go over there. I got a flyer from there. So there's a reason that I try to collect these flyers. There's 1,000 reasons. I like that it embarrasses the daylights out of the cult of Scientology, but I don't want this information sitting around in somebody's purse, in somebody's top drawer, in their junk drawer, for a time when they're in despair and they might want to seek that out. Oh, I hope you got your phone back. Howdy, Haggis. I didn't see you come in, but welcome. Amy, always great to see you. I love the participation in the chat. I like that you guys have conversations. You can talk amongst yourselves while I'm trying to figure out what's going on here out on the streets. If you recall, and by the way, 1,000 things. Oh. There were 1,000 things that happened that weekend at Lit Fest. One of the things that you may or may not remember was that one of the students came up to me and said, "Hey, can I talk to you?" And he said it in a fairly serious tone. And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, what did I do wrong?" But he wanted to just shake my hand and say thank you for what I do. And he had mentioned that in addition to the Columbia College students that are right there, he found them over here. And right now we're in front of Jones College Prep. So this is a high school. And that, you know, the reason that I like that story, that's not me telling you something. That's not me prompting somebody to say something of that nature. That's somebody of their own accord saying, yep, I see them out there. And yeah, they're out in front of a high school, right? We caught them, the very first time we caught the 2 Eastern Europeans was out here, and they were giving out the way to happiness. And they ended up going, they started here, and it was graduation day, so there were an awful lot of people here. And then they went up to the Chicago Public Library. They went inside there to try to evade me. I went in and told the security people there that, hey, by the way, do you know you have 2 people in here with pamphlets that are passing things out, which is a no-no in the public library, unless you've got an invitation. And they then left there. They traveled around the city quite a bit more. They did engage 2 people who were from Colombia. Now, we have a cluster of Venezuelan migrants that are here, and I would say then just a general population of Central and South American migrants who are here in Chicago. They couldn't understand me, but I was able to pull out the Google Translator application on my other phone, and I was able to express what it was, and once I did, you could see their eyes kind of pop open, and they gave me back their flyers. So again, it's just one of those things where it doesn't really take that much to help protect the people here from the information they're receiving, right? And there's plenty of you out there that might think that my information is not correct, and that's fine. I will say it's easily searchable. It's the reason that you hear me say the proper nouns as often as I do, right? Why I'm saying Lisa McPherson, why I'm saying Serge Del Mar, why I'm saying Whitney Mills, Ellie Perkins, Chase Wave, so that it's so easy for, those are proper nouns that people are going to remember, right? Danny Masterson, and they're going to look those things up. You saw when we got over to the organization, they very quickly reacted and pulled the blinds. I'm pretty sure I'm undefeated there. One time, Chadwick Burke, and Chadwick Burke is the infamous Scientologist who was involved in bootology. One day, he actually pulled the blinds back up while I was out there, but then about 10 minutes later, after the police came, he took them right back down. This is not challenging. And one of the things that I really enjoy is when people come to visit here, and Mindy, right? When Mindy comes, hey Mindy, I'm gonna wait, I'm gonna stand back here, I'm gonna film you, watch how easy it is, go close their blinds. And she was able to get them to close their blinds. Bernice had the blinds closed right away last, I don't know, week and a half ago, Thursday. And they stayed closed from 9 a.m. until noon when I got there, and well, probably longer than that. I will tell you that even when they body route in front of the org, they tend to close the shades, unless you were saying that that's was your experience there in KC. Folks, I have not found Bernice's channel either. That I keep on searching for it, but it turns out if you try to do Miss Daisy, you're going to get nothing but Morgan Freeman and, oh darn, I can't remember her name anymore. You'll get the actual driving Miss Daisy. Howdy, Swedish Lena. I still think it's important, but listen, I don't know why Scientology closes their blinds, but I honestly don't care if it's because they don't want us to see it's empty, if they don't want us to see people who are in there that they know, if they're embarrassed by what's going on here. All I care about is that, hey, those shades do come down. And any one of those reasons is very fine with me, right? I'm absolutely fine that that they're ashamed of their church. I'm absolutely fine that they have to close their blinds because they don't want other people across the country recognizing a face of a staff member in here and saying, hey, that's my dad, that's my mom, that's my sister, right? When the shades are down, it looks very uninviting to somebody who's just walking down this sidewalk and is going to take interest in what's going on there. And again, most people don't know it's Scientology, and I'm going to walk past here. Oh. Izzy's back. So we've got Izzy in front of us. Civilian Clothing Day. You're fine, it's not on you.
But like, she's like
So we did just see a public go in. You probably won't be able to see, but she'll come through that little doorway there quickly. Yeah, I'm pretty comfortable that publics don't want people to know that. Now, there are some publics tend to be more proud of the idea of Scientology than staff members do. Howdy. If you think about it, a public is bought in because they're spending money on these stupid courses, right? They're buying these books. They're going up the bridge. They are bought in. If you remember back to the Lit Fest, it was a public, when I came back from lunch, that got so incredibly irritated and excited when they handed off a flyer and I said, by the way, that's Scientology. And she said, you can't tell them that. It's like, why are you embarrassed to be Scientology in this space, right? And then she immediately went off to the police, and the police, again, told everybody to pound sand. I have every right to demonstrate in the way that I'm doing it. I am not intimidating. I am not putting a physical impression on anybody. I'm just stating a truth. Now, I will say that I oftentimes, whenever I can find a story that's got Joe Cicala in it, and again, they just got a new VP of investment or something of that nature. They just hired somebody else, and they put out press releases on those. Whenever those press releases have places for commentary, I always put in there that Joe Cicala is a Scientologist who believes in a space opera and a child trafficking organization, and that's who you want to put your money with. I'm sure that those chats get wiped very quickly, but it is something that I think is important to put on there. Howdy, Michael. How are you doing today? Now, for those of you that don't remember, it looked like Izzi was giving people a farewell hug maybe a month ago. Howdy, Rika. I saw the question about Nance. I know that she does let's see here. I'm confident she'll have representation. I don't know where the retainer stands at this point. I don't know how things are going with her prior lawyer in regards to returning whatever hasn't been spent in that space. Yeah, I can't imagine that Scientology is thrilled with me. And listen, I love that there are plenty of people in Chicago who want to come out and demonstrate. Right? We've got Nance Drew, we've got Never in Nana, we've got Heligear, Corn Freak, Free Xenu Project comes down quite a bit. So there are plenty of people. So I don't want anybody to think that I'm stopping this organization. I'm doing what I can to stop this organization, but it's because of the persistence of all of the people who continually show up here and demonstrate against this criminal organization. So as I was saying earlier, it looked like Izzi was giving a goodbye hug about a month ago. I'm curious to understand why she's back now. I will tell you that this is not a shaming statement. This is a descriptive statement. She looks to have gained a little bit of weight while she was away. No idea why she was away. But she was gone for a while. Now she's back, right? It might be that she was going to take, I'm guessing you have to take executive courses at one of the flag places. And if she wants to be in an executive position here, she probably has to take some additional classes, which you can't take at this location. You probably have to be at a class 12 in order to do that. Howdy, L. Ron Hubcult. I feel like L. Ron is always bookended with Scientology up north. very enjoyable panels. By the way, I just like listening to people with accents, so that's one reason I love listening to the panels, but incredibly informative in regards to what's going on there. And to hear how the cult or the business harmed L. Ron Hub cult, and that the two of them have been so persistent in trying to protect others and warn others about how dangerous this cult is. Most of the people at the farmers market are very, very happy with me. Every once in a while, I'll stop at a table, I'll kind of give them a highlight. Now, again, I'm giving them a commercial to our closest friends, none of which really live here in Chicago, but some of them have an online presence, and we're able to show their online URLs so that we can help promote them a little bit. I have yet to have somebody over there be upset that I'm educating them about Scientology, right? There are people who, right, hey, why do you care about this? They didn't harm you. Again, I get that, why you, all the time. That is not a concern that the people at the farmers market have. Howdy, J-Bet. Right now, there is somebody out and about with, I think there's somebody out and about with a flyer. And the flyer that we picked up earlier today, again, if there is anybody in Chicago, and I'll email all the people that I know as quickly as I can, from 2 to 3 and then from 4 to 6, there'll be guest speakers and an open house. That today, 9/21, is the International Day of Peace. By the way, I'm a fan of the International Day of Peace. I'm 100% on board with peace. Hopefully you've all noticed that I'm a mostly peaceful protester, right? I'm not somebody who typically starts out on fire trying to agitate people. I will ask a question. When I don't get a response, I will raise my voice. But I don't impose, I don't intimidate, I don't raise a hand at all in that way. This is not an organization that I would say is in tune with peace. Now, they're traditionally not overly violent. Now, they will take violent steps. I don't want anybody to think that I don't think that this organization is capable of violence. We've seen it so many times. But they realize they've gotten their hand slapped many of those times. And traditionally, these days, humans are not violent targets of Scientology. Again, that's a generalization statement. That is not a, Paul said nobody ever gets harmed by Scientology. Right? What I want people to understand is that they're not a peaceful organization. They claim peace and they claim to be helpful, but they seldom are, right? You'll see that they'll help people that are going through hurricane recovery. And their way to help somebody who's going through hurricane recovery is to hand them a pamphlet, right? So not to give them food, not to help them with sandbags, they give them a booklet. The person has no home, the person's been unhoused, has no clothing except for what's on their back, and Scientology comes forward and gives them a booklet, The Way to Happiness. And I'm like, yeah, happiness is a little ways away from these people, right, that have been there. Howdy, Kirby's mom. Hey, Neverin, how are you? Neverin, if you have emails for the Chicago folk, could you let them know that there is going to be an event here today? I know that it's really late notice and a lot of people won't be able to come, but let's let them make that decision. If at all possible, if you could email some of the folks out there and let them know. I think Juanita would be incredibly useful as our Spanish speaker, as a Spanish speaker out here. But there's going to be an event here from 2 p.m. until 6 p.m. Ah, gotcha. Thanks, Neverine. I'll bet I know which, but let's... let's leave that for them to say. Yeah, folks, this, I don't think it's widely known, but on Sunday when we were at the Lit Fest, there were two large men that had come when Officer Kim Otten, by the way, Officer Kim Otten, 2 years ago, accidentally discharged a bang-bang in her roll call. So with her other officers getting ready for a shift, she let her weapon discharge. She's still a police officer. But when she brought the people behind, when she brought the Scientologists behind the fence, two very large men came in. One tried to stand between me and the officers, and then another one was kind of having an engagement with Style Audit 1A. And that when some of the protesters left the event that day, they were followed to their transportation mechanisms by these people. And there is nothing but intimidation in that process. There will be plenty of you that will tell me that, oh, I follow people all the time. Just a reminder, I follow people that have flyers. I don't care about the person who I'm following. Every once in a while I'll engage them, or if they want to talk to me, or if they want to rant at me, I'll capture that on camera as well. But for the most part, I don't really care to engage with them. I care to stop them from handing out their cultic flyers, right? Thank you. We just got a thumbs up from the woman that walked by. So they will claim, oh, we're scared of him, right? But you'll notice that I've always backed away from them or stood still when they approach me. And when they don't have flyers, I do not follow them. Thank you, Carla. I really appreciate that. Ha, Fuzzy, thanks for that. We've got another Scientologist coming in real quick. Back here, not you. Don't ever go in there. Getting ready for the human rights event this afternoon? Anything you want to share about that? Free publicity. L. Ron Hubbard said public, public, public. Yeah, never in. I've got a video coming out about that, which shows one of the officers telling a person at the festival who felt intimidated that if they felt intimidated, they should go home. However, they were standing with another person at the festival who was claiming they were intimidated, and they never told that person to go home, right? So what makes it okay to tell some citizens, you're not welcome here, and if you don't like the heat, leave, but you've got another class of citizens who have tendencies to pay for their little league teams and help sponsor their partners' charities. They get the full force of the police, and the police have never told them, well, if you don't want to hear it, go away. That's not true. I will say, if you remember a long time ago, Olga tried to stop a police officer on like Wabash and Van Buren, and that person tried to go to the police and say, hey, this person's following me, and the police said, well, just walk away from him, right? Yeah, never in. It was Officer Tam who told you. That's at least I have Officer Tam saying on tape to you, well, in your direction, I don't know, I assume it was you, but making the statement that if you don't feel safe here, you can always just go home, right? That is not what their claim to Scientology was. Amy, absolutely correct. Oh, you know what? When I told you when I was walking up the street, folks, I start and stop so many conversations. I don't understand how you tolerate me, but I appreciate it. If you're walking down this street, and I'm just going to do it, right? So I'm going to come up from the pizza place. At no point are you really going to see that this is Scientology, right? Your eyes are ahead. Now, there is a sign up here that says Scientology, but for the most part, nobody knows that this is, in fact, Scientology. So when they see this, these windows open and it has the Dianetics books here, it's like, oh, cool, a little bookstore, right? They don't understand that, right? These archaic symbols, they don't mean anything to anybody, right? The pyramid of shame, or the pyramid is Hubbard Communications, and then you've got the Scientology symbol with the two triangles, KAS, ARC, Affinity Reality Communication. I can't remember KAS. We're going to see it spammed about 1,000 times in here, where my audience always picks me up on these things when I forget. I will get Officer Tam's, well, I put in a request to get Officer Tam's body video, or body camera. So we should see him saying that, and we might have a better viewpoint. Now, he was very strange. His body was framed towards me, but his head was pointed another way when he was talking about this. So one of the tricks that the police will know is the idea that if they talk sideways, their camera is covering forwards, and they won't be able to get that video or that conversation quite as easily. Yes, Jessica Tandy, thank you so much. When we were talking about driving Miss Daisy earlier. So folks, right, you know that I do put the camera up when it's just a civilian walking by, because they have no skin in the game, no dog in this fight, however you want to describe it. But of the people that have walked by, when I've said anything about, hey, this being Scientology and being a cult, they would give me the thumbs up, or they would, you heard me say, hey, don't ever go in there. They said, oh, we know. So the education is getting around. People are becoming aware of the cultic behaviors and the business that is Scientology, right? We've been able to share many of the crimes and abuses, the human trafficking, the child abuse, the financial fraud of this organization. Jay Bet, that's an awesome emoji, love it. Let's see here, who was that? Yeah, James, I'm wondering, if your statement is he was just following the modern science fiction, that all of Dianetics would be very much Hogwarts and witchcraft, right? Yeah, that's a great statement, right? The idea, yeah, oh, we know, right? And it often is with that sarcastic or sardonic tone, right? Oh yeah, we know. You'll see a smile, a smirk. Don't worry about it. Now, I will say one of the things I'm impressed with is United for Human Rights, which, by the way, usually if you look at this particular flyer, like if you ever see the United for Human Rights flyer, it says nothing about Scientology. this flyer does say Scientology in several places. So it talks about it's at the Church of Scientology, and then it's also copywritten by Scientology. Now remember, this is just another front group. So you've got CCHR as well as this United for Human Rights. And I think United for Human Rights is its own website. Like it might be unitedforhumanrights.org. Again, if you kind of go through that website, you are not going to see anything about Scientology until you look to the legal page. And on the legal page where you see the address, and if you were to go to Google Maps and look at that address, you'll find out that it's actually the L. Ron Hubbard exhibition or museum. Howdy. Amy, I like that. I'm now trying to figure out what does that look like. It's one of those things that there are, when I can write a long form story, I can get a lot of information out. When I only have a few seconds to engage people, you always notice that you have to take shortcuts, right, to engage the people. And the same thing, the imagery, right? So we have very little square space to put those emojis in, but I like the idea. I like the sentiment, right? Folks, Serge Delmar reached out to me recently, and I'm trying to get together with him. We're probably going to do a panel show. What I'm trying to do is collect more of the clips of children entering this organization, right? Some of the most prevalent are Easter. We saw a large amount of kids running around inside before the org even opened. They were probably children of staff. And then we saw so many people who were coming in with their 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-year-olds because it was announced as an Easter celebration. And again, when you see church and Easter, most people have a very Judeo-Christian, well, I guess it wouldn't be Judeo, it would only be a Christian view of what Easter is. So they were very much deceived when they came here. It was just to come and get a little bag of jelly beans, right? Sorry, we're going to head around back real quick. Just want to see if there any activity back there. The other, a couple of other items, right? If you remember in the early days, we had Trashy V12 BMW. All right, he was the first person out here protesting or demonstrating here in Chicago. All right, so if we look down the alley, those people are beyond, they're further away from me than the back door of Scientology. The truck is probably a moving truck for, oh no, it's refrigerated. I can see on top that it's got refrigeration. So it might be trying to get to Paisans. Fuzzy, I don't know, but I'm going to say that, like I said, she looked more stable for high winds than she did when she left. It could be any number of things. And then there's also the idea of if it was a termination of same, you know, I don't know how the body reacts to that, right? So was this one of those oopsies that she was asked to resolve? Either asked to resolve or wanted to resolve. Built for stability in high winds is one of my favorite things to say about people. It usually takes a moment or two for people to realize what I've said. There was no real activity out in the back. I will say that I love that I have a social life, and I'm sure that most of you are very happy that I have a social life. There's a part of me that really wants to be down here this afternoon. Izzi has a travel bag. So maybe she just flew in, right? So that was Izzi just walking out again. You're fine, you're not on camera. So we can see her walking away with her duffel bag. I've got family and friends coming over today, and we're going to have just a fun little get-together, which is something you can do when you're not a Scientologist, right? Yeah, new name, I would, just because of all of what we've heard about Scientology, I agree with that, right? That does seem to be a modus operandi. Now, I will say that we hear it much more often with a Sea Org person, and I have no understanding whether or not Izzi is Sea Org or if she's staff. She claims to be staff. Like, in December of 23, she had a post on, it might have been Instagram and it might have been Facebook, but one way or the other, she had professed to be a new member of the staff in Chicago. And I believe that means more likely the 2.5 to 5 year staff, not the billion-year staff that we will sometimes hear. The very first time we saw her, we remember that the Scientologist came out and said, "Oh, you're full HCO now," right? Which means that she had kind of gone through the onboarding process through Hubbard Communications office. A couple other stories that we've seen, when I was talking about Trashy V12, right, that when we would be here at night, even when they bring the shades down, you could see straight through. And there was a black female with 2 children who I would guess one was 8, one was maybe 13, 14, who were in here quite often while she was here probably on course. So that's another one of those instances where you've got children in here and children cannot consent. The staff member who consistently on Saturdays will come up either in his uniform or in civilian clothing and drop off what we presume to be their daughter, right? And he'll come up to the door, open the door, and kind of just push her in, right? He's not going to hand her off to another adult. He just sends the person into the org. And that's just ridiculous to me that you would send a child into this organization. And those are the things that I want to talk to Serge about. Sorry, I got a lot of traffic coming down. What I just noticed is that the upstairs windows are open, and we might be able to see some people in there.
Are you against Scientology too?
Yes, I am.
You know, I just found out about this last weekend. It was
at the literary festival.
Yes, because I work at urgent care right there.
They tried to get me arrested 7 times.
I'm about to say, there was some old ladies standing outside my job recording, and they was telling me about it. I never knew about it.
Yeah, it's very dangerous.
The only thing I remember out of everything she told me was they get paid $47 a week or $46 a week, and they stay across the street. It's like 7 people to an apartment.
In Imprint.
And this right here?
Yep.
And then she told me that if they're family members and they try to leave out and their family's still in there, they get cut off from their family, they can't talk to them no more.
Correct.
That's the only thing out of everything she told me I remember.
Those are good enough things to remember.
Exactly, to stand out. That's crazy.
One of the things, so today...
That's technically a cult.
Oh, it's 100% a cult.
And it's crazy.
The one thing that I always ask them is, can you talk about your church? And they say no, right? You know what that means? It's a cult. Today, this is one of their front groups. It's called United for Human Rights, which sounds like a great thing, right? In reality, what they are is anti-psychiatry, anti-psychology. You absolutely can.
I still want to look them up and read about them.
Don't ever give them your real name. But by the way, yes, if you're interested, go and look at stuff.
Let me turn my thing around.
No, and I've got the camera going that way.
No, I'm talking about for them.
Oh yeah.
They don't want to give them my real name.
So just be very, very careful with that. And it's really just a money cult, and they're going to move people around. I don't know if you've ever heard this, but you hear so many foreign accents in here. They come here on religious visas.
No, No, like I said, I just found
Okay.
out about them last week. And then I realized they got a lot of young people.
You know where I found these?
Where?
They put them, you know, next to you, there's that interior space with the tables inside the Dearborn Station.
Oh yeah.
They came in and they put them in there.
Wow.
I'm gonna call your landlord tomorrow to say, hey, by the way, Scientology's dropping off propaganda in your space.
If it wasn't for that day, I would have never known nothing about it.
I love
they
that.
Told me they right next door. 'Cause I just started getting off the train right here. I used to get off on Jackson, and I said, oh wow, this is literally. And then they got the blinds closed.
So when I come here, I put my camera there. Immediately they bring the blinds down.
Because it's always open when I walk past and got their books in the window.
Yep. They don't want. So there's a couple of things. They don't want people to see on camera that it's empty, and they have people in here that don't belong here, that they've moved here from some other organization. They don't want their family members being able to see anybody on camera to say, there's my aunt, there's my brother, there's my mom.
They think they missing the whole time they in this.
Yeah.
Now it made me think about a lot of people that's missing. They probably just in here.
Absolutely.
You might still be here when I come back. You have a good day.
You as well. Thank you so much. By the way, Heli Gear, that's probably you. Sorry, she said veteran woman. I'm gonna redact that, right? She said a veteran woman, but somebody had told her about this. And I know there's all kinds of people out there saying protesting doesn't work. Protesting does work, right? The idea that they were able to sell two books last week. Heli, you were the feisty veteran lady out there letting her know. We're making a difference, folks. These demonstrations matter, right? She works at that place. She walks past this building quite often, had no understanding of what this building might be or what it was in reference to, right? Hopefully, by the way, she had a pretty strong voice, so hopefully you picked that up. Hey folks, if you're not one of the traditional demonstrators who comes down here in Chicago, but you're in Chicago this weekend, I'm telling you, all you really need to do is have a phone. You don't have to record, but if you want to, go ahead. You don't have to stream, but if you want to, go ahead. And it's so easy to, you just saw that Heli just had a conversation with a woman, and that woman has a recollection, what are we now, 13, 14 days out of that event? And that person remembers distinctly some of the most interesting elements and the most dangerous elements of the organization, right? If you're somebody who's in Chicago and you just want to give Scientology a hard time today, they're going to try to get people in here from 2 to 6. I just can't be here today. I've made other obligations. I have other obligations. But if you can, come and give them heck, right? We do make a difference. Yeah, we're out here for long hours, right? We're now sitting at 80 minutes. In 80 minutes, we've probably had 5 minutes of content. We've had 80 minutes of great conversation, and I really appreciate that. But we've had 5 pieces of real good engagement. But we've seen that we are making a difference. The woman that we just talked to, right? She works at the urgent care down there, the urgent care center down there. We saw a couple of the students, right, getting thumbs up, getting the, yeah, we know, don't go in, right? Oh, thank you, Fuzzy Pink Handcuffs. Yes, this building is 650 South Clark Street here in Chicago. Got a big old sign up there. Bella, thank you so much. Yeah, absolutely, Fuzzy, right? Just like I don't always tell the story perfectly, and by the way, I hope you all understand, I'm never trying to be deceptive when I tell the story. I'm always I'm a little bit rushed, and I need to be able to engage these people quickly. But that person remembers the $47 meeting, element and the disconnection, right? Just want to come over because very seldom is that door or window open. We might be able to see somebody walk through there. There just aren't that many people in there today, so I don't think that we'll see too many. I'll squeeze it down. Ellie, less info. Let's try to help keep some of her anonymity. Oh, that's something I didn't see before. You probably won't be able to see it, but there is a big map of Chicago on the back side of that wall. So you've got the framed window there. And Ellie, I just want to try to give her some privacy. I understand that was good intent. Let's just be careful and not allow for an attack surface there. All good. There are lights on all the way up. I can see lights coming through the windows. I don't see people walking through there. No idea what they'll do at... Oh, it's very possible that is a pin cushion. I'll come over someday when I've got the polarized lens on so I can see through there. And I've got a pretty strong telephoto. Folks, I am not a lawyer. I am just saying things aloud. Because I can see that map from here, no matter how much focal power I put on it, that's absolutely fine. I can look in there all I want. Now, it can be a little bit of a different story when you talk about a drone where now you're able to see into something that you can't see from public space. But if we think about it, the people on the second floor here are looking at eye level straight across. So images from there into the org, absolutely fine, right? Yeah, so this building, and you can kind of see it right there, it's called the Artcraft Building. So it would have been an older, an important building back in the printing day. Remember, this neighborhood is called Printers Row. The reason it's called Printers Row is that all of the light manufacturing for printing books, newspapers, magazines occurred in this space. There used to be no residential, no residences in this neighborhood. This was entirely a business district. And all of these would have been manufacturing, light manufacturing, book binding materials, book cutting, paper manufacturing, all kinds of stuff like that. Will's hoodie, thank you for saying that. Well, you know, I've said this before, and I don't ever want people to think they're being shamed because I'm here and you're not, right? That if you can get here, great, get here. If you can get to any other org, great, get to any other org. But by watching and supporting maybe you're learning something, maybe you're getting more information that you can show somebody else. You can help share this information to others who might get benefit out of hearing the story of Scientology. You're supporting us in this space, even if you're not supporting us with money, right? The idea that you're paying for Scientology's ads. Yeah. Don't ever go in there. I'm anti-human trafficking and anti-child abuse. I think it's important that we all have a fan base and fans, and I don't like the term fan, right? I like to say that you're people that like to communicate with me every once in a while. And that we're doing this, it's evidence that, we've been up to as high as 200 channels. Now, I know that some people have fallen off, and for whatever reasons, right? You've got people going through legal issues. You've got people who have kind of been scared or shamed off because of Scientology. There will be attrition in any kind of movement, right? I haven't been here for a week, I think. It's been a while, right? It's just that life is going to stack up on some of these people. We've got another Scientologist coming down the street. Now, this one's new. I don't recognize him. He's putting out a cigarette there. Carla, great question. 1 second. I'm going to try to engage. Anything positive to share about church? Are you with the human trafficking or the child abuse? Which one's better? So his claim was it was a beautiful thing. Carla, there's and Fuzzy might be able to get to it, but I've got a how I protest. And by the way, I don't want anybody to think that I protest the right way and other people protest the wrong way. I protest the way that I protest, right? My demonstrations are the way that I want to do it. So you'll find out why I do things the way that I do things. I don't like violence. I will defend myself if I have to. That guy is new. Hopefully I'll see it on the body camera. I didn't see the books. I'll try to get that when I'm looking at the body camera footage. So if you look, I'll kind of get up close on here. Oh, you can't see it there. Let me see if we can see it over here on the white. Still not that much, but you can see I've got a microphone on my chest. I've got the gimbal camera, the gimbal phone for the video, and then right down here is a body camera where you see my other hand. There's a body camera there, which is similar to what a police officer would wear, and that's got a 180 field of vision on it, so it's picking up an awful lot more. It's got a 4K element. I know you guys are only seeing this in like 720. It's got 4K footage and it's picking up ambient sound. So the conversation that I had with the the person who was engaged down at the Lit Fest, her voice will show up much better on the other device. But those are things, right? I always tell people safety is the first thing, right? So the first thing you ever want to do in any situation is be safe. I personally have no desire. I have no desire to get an arrest record in regards to what's going on here. I know there are people who are protesters or demonstrators who they think that's a badge of courage, and that's fine. I'm not saying it's not a badge of courage. I just feel I'm more effective the longer I'm out here. And if I'm sitting in a jail cell waiting for somebody to bail me out, or if I'm sitting in a courtroom, or if I'm getting TROs, then I can't be out here doing this, right? And I think this is effective. If I had a TV station and I could broadcast this on TV, great, I'd do that. But I can't, and I don't. I always have a card with me. Let me pull my cards out real quick. And here's the cards. And Fuzzy just showed you what that scan code goes to, but we're talking about Lisa McPherson, Serge Delmar, Rosemary Chicknick. And then the other one is Xenu.net. So you're going to see all of the historical stories like that Andreas collected. Right? For those of you who don't know, Andreas is no longer with us, but he was the person who woke up Tori Magoo. Right? So Tori Magoo was going online trying to support the Church of Scientology. And she had made a couple of mistakes, like she was condensing long posts into shorter posts. And what happened is Andre said, hey, you're ruining the format and people don't know who's saying what. So she was so surprised that an anti-Scientologist would reach out to help her. And then she kind of woke up to the idea that, wait, what we're doing is we're suppressing free speech. And she couldn't abide by free speech. And that was her aha moment, what woke her up and brought her out of the cult. Well, that person, Andreas, he is the one that built out, and it still exists, Xenu.net. And Xenu.net has all sorts of stories and information about the Church of Scientology. Thank you, Carla. You know, I really enjoyed, I struggle with these words sometimes. I felt good about myself on, howdy.
Can I talk to you?
Yes, you may.
Yeah, so it is really scary being right next to a Scientology building as a college student. I'm more scared about them than like anything happening in the city.
I agree.
So,
No, I appreciate that. Can you do me a favor? So this, you'll find more information there.
uh-huh.
The Scientology, they don't like to advertise themselves. You're going to see things like United for Human Rights. That's them. This is anti-psychology, anti-psychiatry. This is not human rights. You're going to see way to way to happiness. They're going to pass out all kinds of things like this, and they're going to get you to come. They're going to try to get people to come in. And I'm going to say that
Yeah,
hearing what you said.
Going into a building is not consent either.
Correct.
That is not consent to join your cult. I'm sorry.
Yes, I agree with that. No.
Anyways,
Thank you so much.
I just wanted to talk to you at some point.
Thank you.
There was this woman out here earlier saying that children cannot consent. Personally, I don't think a religious building should be right next to where new children, because this is our freshman building, new children are coming into the city, looking around.
I hate that it's only freshmen. So I have to be out here every year. There's no continuity. Like there's no sophomore saying, hey, the building next door is this. Everybody has to relearn it every single time from scratch.
That should be on our thing when we're moving in.
I agree.
Because if that was the case, I wouldn't have chosen this building.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have chosen this building whatsoever.
Love that. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time. Thank you. I'm sorry, what were we saying? Could you guys hear her? She had a softer voice. I like that people are becoming more and more aware of it. I want everybody to understand. We don't get to rest. We don't get to say, oh, cool, she knows. We don't have to be out here demonstrating anymore. That is not a true statement. Never get comfortable with that. Remember, most of us watch anti-Scientology channels. We are so used to this story and we can't imagine anybody wanting to walk in there, right? Most people don't know this. Most people aren't watching anti-Scientology channels and they're unaware of how dangerous this organization is. And thanks for helping me understand if you could hear. And again, we'll be able to pick up more on the body camera. But I love these student interviews. And right, she's had the sign, children can't, she said saw a sign that said children can't consent. So that's just more evidence that more people are out here protesting all the time. And folks, remind me, I want to kind of change that a little bit, that I'm demonstrating. And I'm going to say, for potentially legal reasons, demonstration sounds like a safer word. I don't know, this is the one. that made false claims against me over at the Lit Fest. So she was the Asian female that claimed I assaulted someone. And she made the call on Saturday to get Officer Maldonado there. Well, I think the security, the private security from the organization called Officer Maldonado, but then she had a conversation with Officer Maldonado. Howdy, Sarah. Yeah, Sarah, I agree with that, but I'll also say this, and I've said it before, and I'm not defending people, I'm defending actions when I say this. The way that I protest, it probably connects with a lot of people, but I'm gonna use Pearl as the example, right? Pearl is much more vocal, she'll shout, she'll yell, she'll use some derogatory terms, she'll use some curse terms, right? That's probably not getting a Scientologist out, but it does draw awareness. And you've got other students that are around at that point in time, and they're starting to hear these words, or if you hear this highly vocalized element, it draws your eyes towards the dangers of this organization, right? So it's something that it's the alarm or the siren that goes off in the student's head about why is there a person out there ranting about this organization. I'm just not comfortable with it. If you looked early on, my very first couple of lives, my only mantra was, it's a cult, and that's all I would say. And it's just not to me, it didn't sound helpful. It was not informative. It was just my opinion of saying this. And the reason that I love the questions that people like Nora and Phil Jones have given me where, hey, ask them if they're allowed to talk about Scientology. Because if you're not allowed to talk about something, are you really free? And that might be something that as a human, they think about the next day, right? Or as they fall off to sleep that night. They're thinking, yeah, why can't I talk about this organization? We've got students out here and I just don't want to keep them on camera. I'm going to step forward a little bit just so that they can pass behind me when they come through. Paisans is opening up for business. They're coming out. Let me walk up the street a little bit, give them some space. Folks, again, I don't want to tell people I do things the right way, other people do things the wrong way. What I do want to say is that I'm comfortable with the way I do things, and I do think that I've been effective. I will tell you that I'm incredibly happy that with all of the demonstrators we had out here last weekend, on Sunday they sold 2 books, right? That is not going to be an upstep situation for Scientology, right? Think about all of the people that at times there were 6 to 8 Scientologists sitting at that table trying to sell that book, and they sold 2 books all day long. They had to pay a premium to get that table in the at the event. So Scientology failed that day in regarding to their proselytization. If you remember back to early on in the channel, we had Jessica take a green candidate down the street, took him by the elbow, and walked the person down the street. And I walked behind them the whole time saying, hey, look up Danny Masterson, look up Lisa McPherson, do this, do that, right? The idea that, hey, it's Scientology, they're just a cult. And I thought that I'd lost him, right? That he got down to the end of the street, Jessica let him go. I really didn't engage with him anymore. And I thought, poor guy. Yeah, I agree. I just don't like the human trafficking and the child abuse that goes on inside of this building. So, and yes, you all know who that was for. About a week later, maybe it was 3 weeks later, that person left a comment and said, hey, I was on the video at 39 minutes X, and I'm the one that you were talking to, and I chose not to join the Church of Scientology. So the idea that I actually got feedback from somebody who I was talking to, and again, save one. That's all you have to do is save one. And I think that I've done much more than that in regards to what's going on. If we go back to to Phil Jones again, and again, I'm a big fan of Phil Jones. And Phil Jones will talk about the idea that he went to a music event and Scientology was there, and he looked at it and said, wow, this is kind of cool. He went home. He kind of got his brother and his sister very excited about it. His brother and sister are still in Scientology. His sister is an extremely active recruiter for Scientology. And as those recruiters for Scientology, they just keep on bringing in more and more Scientologists. So the idea that you stop one person from going in, if they're the person that was going to become that recruiter, think about how many lives you're saving, how many lives you're having an impact on in regards to what's going on there. That doesn't even include that, yes, somebody joins the cult. Well, that also means that somebody's being disconnected from family in that situation, because you can't be friends with somebody who doesn't like Scientology, right? If you are in Scientology. Folks, just a reminder that from 2 to 6 today, there's going to be an event here. If you're anywhere near, around Chicago, please consider coming out here and having a little bit of a conversation with the people that might try to come in and listen to what they have to say about United for Human Rights. All right. I'm going to head back over to the farmers market. They will start shutting down fairly soon. I just want to see if we can find, it's still 3 hours to the event. I'm probably going to leave here sometime around noon, 12:30 today. But I want to see if we can find, if they're still trying to advertise for the event. I will go back over to, now, the Olga can't watch the channel. But if Osa is watching the channel, hi Osa, they may have sent out a dispatch and said, hey, you got to go repaper that building because he got all the paper, right? We'll take another round through there just in case she did take another pass through that building. You may or may not have seen on that weekend that, if all of you remember, when DOA was in town for the DNC, he found a bodega, and the bodega had the Way to Happiness flyers on the counter. And when DOA and I, we had a off-camera conversation, walked over to the train, we walked past there, he showed me where the bodega was. On the day of the event, I was able to go in there and talk to the clerk, and I said, hey, have you ever seen this? And the answer was, yes, we have seen that before. Yeah, I'm trying to look down there. Yeah, those cars are past Scientology. So they're basically at the pizza place. And I went in there and gave them a bit of an education that, hey, don't ever let them put those on the counter again. Will it last forever? Who knows? But that clerk is now somebody who's aware of what Scientology does, and that there's an opportunity not to put those flyers out anymore. Remember, we're just going to head over to the festival, the farmers market again. He had some magazines in his hand, and I just wanted to see what they were. They were actually just normal magazines. Not like I know what normal is. They were not Scientology magazines. Reminder that we're in Printers Row. This is an old printing press. As we come over here to Dearborn, we'll head south towards the farmers market. The other thing that you'll see from United for Human Rights, and Natalie did a show on this, they have several tenets. It's sort of like 10 Commandments. And their first one is everybody has a right to trial. And it's incredibly funny because everybody who's ever taken a course in Scientology signed away their right to trial. They have a right to arbitrate. And it's not a right. They are forced into arbitration by way of taking their courses. So while Scientology will say they believe everybody has a right to trial, they will never give everybody a right to trial. Kind of looking through here, looking for sorry. Sorry, a lot of folks here. We've got to get out the boat table here, which always love that. Apple Fest. Again, just looking for flyers. We've got some music here, so I've got to talk through the process. I am not seeing the body rod route here anymore. Mind if I put your scan code on? Can I put your scan code on? All right.
Sure.
Thanks.
For some reason, I have
So, sorry.
There you go.
So here's a group out trying to make sure everybody's registering the vote.
Exactly, and that's the code where people can go and register.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Sure, of course. You want to take it with you?
No, I'm already registered, but I think that, thank you.
Want to share with friends?
Yeah, I'll keep doing that. Yep, I'll do that. Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Now I'm going to ask you a favor, but you can say no to this.
What?
There is a group
Yes.
that is handing out this today.
Human rights.
This is actually Scientology,
Oh.
so be very, very careful.
No,
about
I
that,
don't think
right?
I'll participate.
Excellent.
But I appreciate
They're
your
100%.
asking.
They're just anti-psychiatry and psychology. That's all that group is.
Oh, you're warning me.
Yes.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
they're Scientology. Do not go anywhere near them.
I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Okay, take care.
I'll say that he did not recognize the flyer, so I don't think that she's been passing it out. Folks, I do think voting is important, by the way. If you want to be the change in the world, in a democratic society, the easiest way to be the change in the world is actually to vote, right? It's the reason, right, that we put all of the congressional emails out there, the congressman, the senator information out there. We want to know what their stance is. And if their stance is not anti-Scientology, is that somebody we want to vote for? A vote is the thing that most politicians are scared of. They don't care about crimes. They don't care about getting caught up in affairs, anything of that nature. They don't want anything that would cause them to be voted against. All right, we're gonna walk back through just to see if they came back over here. By the way, when we talk about the table, the Scientology table was right here, right? It was in this no parking zone. By the way, it was a festival. The streets were closed, so it was there. And Heligear was able to contact that person out in front of this building. I'm gonna take another walk through real quick just to make sure that there are no flyers again on their table. So there's an awful lot of stuff that goes on in this building. Not sure you'll be able to see that, but yeah, so I don't think that she's been back here. No, the hat maker is in the Monadnock building, which is two blocks north of here. It's on the other side of Congress Expressway, but 2 blocks north. Maybe it's 3 blocks north. Optimo hats. By the way, I need an Optimo hat. I just think they look cool, and I love the idea of a handmade hat. Some of you may or may not know, right? I did bull riding in the past, and all of my hats, all my cowboy hats were handmade. I just like the quality of a good handmade hat, and it can be a lifetime investment. It's not that hard to take care of a hat. You just want to make sure that you don't ruin the block. That can be reblocked if you do that, make that mistake, but for the most part, you just need to keep it lightly cleaned all the time. Yeah, Amy, I do hope that the protesters are getting support for what's going on. I'm more invested in some of the stories than others. I will tell you that the most egregious story to me was how Danny ever got a charge against him, and that the person who actually committed the crime did not also get a charge. Marina, that's awesome. I do plan on being back Friday, so I'll again be back here next weekend. I am out of town most of this week. Ari, I will say that I typically surprise quite a few people with a few statements. I've run many marathons, including the Boston Marathon. I've run the Grand Canyon from rim to rim to rim in a day. I did used to ride bulls. The idea that a PI is going to sidle up next to me and try to intimidate me with his size, having stood toe-to-toe with bulls, that doesn't really faze me too much. I'm going to say I am in general not a big fan of the people who stream while driving. I know that when I went up to Minnesota, that I was streaming while driving. But for the most part, I was really just talking and showing you what was going on there, putting that in there. But I also had my center console of my car allows me to use it for whatever I want to, and I'm able to read the content with what's going on there. Now, as you'll remember, right, I was getting a 20-second delay just like all of you are all the time. Absolutely, Sarah. I will remind you, that was a few days ago. I've taken a couple more laps around the Earth, laps around the sun, since doing that. The other activity that I would be involved in that involved a cowboy hat was I used to be a competitive dancer, so I was a country western dancer. And I had a T-shirt, and it was one of my favorite T-shirts. And it was one of those where it says, "Hey, of course this belt buckle don't mean much." By the way, in bull riding, when you win an event, you get a belt buckle, plus money. But sure, this belt buckle don't mean much. But can you hold my beer while I dance with your girlfriend? It was always easy to find a dance partner. And by the way, if you're a guy and you want to learn how to talk to women, learn how to dance. It's a really low bar because most men are very afraid of trying to learn how to dance, or don't think it's manly. But you learn how to dance, the girls will line up. Adam, that's hilarious. Adam's making reference to the idea that L. Ron Hubbard claims to be the first person to have ever studied nuclear physics. He's the youngest Eagle Scout ever. He was the first of everything, right? He was the first person to actually leave his body and figure out that there's a implant station. Actually, in my live, whenever I do lives from the studio, you might be able to see one of my cowboy hats still behind me. And then my old spurs are back there as well. New name, love that reference as well. My expectation is that Chuck Norris would crush L. Ron. More importantly, my expectation is that the old lady that got beat up in Blazing Saddles could crush L. Ron Hubbard. Heading back over to the org. As we look ahead here, what you're seeing in the frame is over the street is the Metro tracks, so that's the LaSalle Street station. And then beyond that, that taller building that looks like it's in the middle of the street is the old post office. and that is an office building these days. That building on its rooftop has the largest urban rooftop garden in the world, at least in the United States, but I think in the world. It's massive. There's a walking track up there that's probably a quarter mile if you were to walk it. It's got basketball courts up there. It's got paddleball courts up there. 100% area. I would take that bet. I think it was funny the other day. Somebody who was who's a still in Scientologist was talking about the ranch because there had been news that there are all kinds of stories, right? That the kids that are at the ranch, they have to do menial tasks, they have to do hard labor, all those kinds of things. Well, the guy who was going to back up Scientology and say that, oh, it was great, we had these opportunities, we had that opportunity, all that kind of stuff. At one point he says, and we were able to talk with the Smiths, and the Smiths are the ones that put the shoes on a horse. It's like, that's not true at all. A Smith can make horseshoes, but a farrier is who actually shoes a horse. So it's very rare to see a Smith at a ranch. You'd more likely see a farrier, because the farrier is the one who's able to take care, they're almost a vet with taking care of the hooves of those animals. Howdy, Eric Rader. Eric's another one with just an amazing story, right? The idea that he spent time in, and having come out, finding the protest community. Yeah, I think that he's talked about this before. He struggles a little bit to be in front of Big Blue, right? He doesn't feel good about being at a Scientology building. But the idea that he put a flyer on every single telephone post for probably a 3 to 5 mile radius around Scientology, it's amazing. And just out there every single day putting them up. And he now does a show with Selfless. You'll see him on Thursdays at 2. He and Selfless will bring on guests. I think that everybody's been former Scientology so far, but whether it's former Scientologists or protesters in general, it's just fun to listen to, right? Oh, I'm reading Eric's comment, right? For the longest time, I want to buy somebody's internet over here. I want to pay for somebody's internet up there so I can put a webcam up there and just shine the webcam down here so that I can see, or all of us could see, every time the body riders go out. And that way I don't have to wait here for 8 hours a day waiting until one of them leaves. I can actually just wait until they showed up on camera and then, hey, cool, now let me do it. So that's my hidden dream, right? All right, folks, I think that I'm ready to go head home. As I mentioned, I've got to go spend time with, let me rephrase that. I'm going to go home and spend time with my family and friends. I will probably be out here tomorrow morning. Just a reminder about kind of what's going on here today. So we started the day going through the farmer's market. After leaving the farmer's market, we were going to head over to the organization. On the way to the organization, we found a body router. And the body router was putting out this flyer, right? This is United for Human Rights. If you go to unitedforhumanrights.org, you will find out that it's really hard to find they're involved with Scientology at all. You have to go to the legal page, and on the legal page, you're going to see an address, and the address is the L. Ron Hubbard Museum, or whatever that's called there. If you're here in Chicago today, they're going to be, they've invited people to come here from 2 to 3, or 2 to 3:30 for booklet distribution, which again, they're going to give out the human rights. And you've seen that from me before. I've shown you that book. They used to pass that out here. And then from 4 to 6, they're going to have guest speakers. So we want to make sure, if we can, if anybody's here in Chicago and feels compelled, please come out here. Help educate these people as they walk in here. What else did we see today? We've had a couple of interactions with some of the students here. The students, one student walked out to me and said, "Hey, thank you for being out here. I can't believe they put this building up next to a college dormitory. If she knew that Scientology was here before she had signed up, she would not have come to this building." So that was, I thought that was a great interview that we had. An interview, such a strange statement. Great conversation we had. And then we talked to the person who Heligear was able to make contact with at Litfest 2 weeks ago. And when she came up, she walked up to me and she said, "You know, I never knew what this place was until 2 weeks ago when a woman came up to me and told me about these." And she said, "And the things I remember was the $47 a week and the family disconnection," right? And so that's a story that 2 weeks later, that person is still telling or still has good recollection of. I'm sure that she's told that story to others since then, right? Protesting works, folks. I think it's important that we all realize that it's not the only thing, but it is a tool, and it's a tool that we should keep using, right? The more that we can challenge this organization so that they cannot bring in new members, they'll starve, right? Eventually all of the existing Scientologists, they're going to perish, right? If there are no new Scientologists, what's going to happen? They can't grow. Right? Now, some people hear that and say, "I don't care about the people that are in Scientology." I absolutely do. I'm just not as well equipped to bring those people out. I do challenge them. I do ask them questions which are probably hard for them to understand, right? Why doesn't the church let me talk about the church, right? Why is it that they call me a criminal, but they don't know what my crimes are? Right? Thank you so much, Eric. I appreciate that. All right, folks. I'm about to head north. Definitely keep on liking, keep on subscribing all of these channels that are out there. There will be people that just can't keep up with us, right? There will be attrition. We need to show these channels that we are watching them, we do care about what they're doing. All right, folks, JBAT has our candidate. We're gonna head over, watch Natalie Life After Code. Tell her I said hi. Hope she's doing well. And again, reminder, T, you know her more as Perth, Australia. She got horrible news and she's rushing home to see her father. Keep her in your heart. And we've got Nance's Court on Monday as well. So if that's something that you can help support, feel free to run over there too. Yeah, Patrick, they've never been able to say the crimes, but they've said out loud on a couple of occasions now that I am a criminal. It is funny that when I ask them what their crimes are, they have no response. Yeah, absolutely, Miss Fugue. Miss Fug, Miss Fugue. All right, I'm gonna get across real quick. Let's head over to Natalie. I will see you shortly. Tell her I said hi. Thank you, everybody. Hope you have a great day. I'll be out here tomorrow. Bye-bye.